U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry begins a trip to Africa and South Asia on Thursday. Counterterrorism discussions will top his agenda during stops in Djibouti and Kenya. His visit to Kenya comes just weeks after militants from the terror group Al-Shabaab massacred 147 people at Garissa University College. Linda Thomas-Greenfield, U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, who will be traveling with Kerry, talks about the expectations of the stops in Africa.
The primary purpose for both of the stops is to reaffirm our very strong bilateral relations with these governments, but also to discuss issues of mutual concern. In particular, in Djibouti, we want to thank the Djiboutian government for their welcome to our military operations out of Djibouti and Camp Lemonnier, but also on their support for assisting with the evacuations out of Yemen.
Well, for more on the Secretary Kerry's impending visit to Africa, VOA's Pam Dockin joins us live from the State Department. Hello, Pam.
Hi. Well, Vincent, as you mentioned, one of the primary goals of this trip is security. The State Department says Secretary of State John Kerry will focus on security cooperation in the wake of attacks such as the one carried out by Al-Shabaab earlier this month at the university in Kenya. The United States has been involved in efforts to fight Al-Shabaab. It's been assisting the African Union troops. It also has been doing drone missions over the region. Linda Thomas-Greenfield says the U.S. is always reassessing its approach to dealing with threats like Al-Shabaab. And she said that considering that the number of attacks that the group has carried out outside of Somalia has grown, it shows that the group is on the defensive and it's now searching for weak areas in other parts of Africa.
Now, Pam, we know that following that attack at the Garissa University College, the Kenyan government said that it's going to close down the massive Dadaab refugee camp in that region. What did the Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs say about that?
Well, yes, Kenyan officials have raised concerns that Al-Shabaab has been using refugee camps like Dadaab in northern Kenya to launch attacks. Linda Thomas-Greenfield says it's not a new issue, but one that has come up several times since she has been in office. She said the primary point to keep in mind is that refugees are victims. They are victims of Al-Shabaab just as other people are. She said that she does not believe that this camp is a source for Al-Shabaab, but that everything that can be done, possibly can be done, should be done to protect the people at this camp from the militant threats and also from the group's influence.
Now, Pam, very quickly, what is really the purpose of the trip to Djibouti, if you can tell us a little more?
Well, Djibouti is a military hub for the United States. Camp Lemonnier is based there. And during the trip, Secretary Kerry plans to meet with base personnel. Djibouti also has been playing a pivotal role in the evacuation of Americans and other foreigners from Yemen. It's been serving as a stopover point. But in spite of this strong military presence, Djibouti suffers from high unemployment and a relatively high rate of poverty. Thomas-Greenfield says the U.S. has been engaged with the government to find ways to provide additional assistance, mostly in the area of job training and other opportunities.
Well, thank you very much, Pam, for joining us today. Pam Dawkins reporting live from the State Department.